And welcome back to the Frontier Mindset Podcast. I'm your host, Cody Elliott, and the purpose of this podcast is to talk about business and entrepreneurship, leadership, and mixed in with other foundations in our lives like faith and family, education, and, of course, politics. So today I'm sitting with Rob Standridge. So appreciate you coming on, Rob.
Thanks for having me, Cody. Appreciate
it.
You bet.
So Rob's a father, a husband, business owner, entrepreneur, former state senator, pharmacist, attorney, and an author. So we've got a lot to talk about, Rob.
Well, a lot to talk about. Maybe much, maybe not much. We'll see.
Bet. Well, kick us off with your background, where he's born and raised, and all that good stuff.
Sure. I was born in Arkansas, Hot Springs. I was there for about 6 months before we migrated to Oklahoma. But pretty poor family growing up. I was thinking about this earlier, about what to say. My dad was lost my dad about a decade ago, but extremely hardworking man. I like to think I learned my work ethic from my dad and my love of learning from my mom. And so my mom always was reading and always pushing me to learn. And so it was a really great childhood. I grew up in Midwest City, not far from here. Some fond memories. My best friend, Timothy Birdwell, who actually works for the state and comes by my office every now and then. Now I hadn't seen him for years. I hadn't seen him since 5th grade. But yeah, we adventured all over Midwest City and rode our bikes everywhere, but had a great childhood. And was the first person in my family to go to college, and in fact, even maybe my distant family, graduated pharmacy school, and I met my wife as an intern. I was the intern. I like to point that out. She was the employee, so any fraternization was not from mine to hers. It was the other way, right? Yep. So, but we met at a little pharmacy in Noble and got married, and have 3 kids now. But it took us. I always like to share this. Everything works in God's timing, whether it's your family or your business or your faith or whatever it is. Some come early, some come late. But we wanted kids. My wife wanted kids very bad. And for years, we didn't think we could have kids. We did the in vitro thing and all those things. We did 3 in vitro fertilizations. And it's really interesting. We went on a trip to Fort Worth to visit a adoption agency to interview prospective mothers. I didn't know how this worked, but evidently that's how it works some places. And so you're there, and we paid our down payment on a baby, if you will. Yeah. And came back, and we were expecting. And so it's amazing.
Funny how that works out.
Yeah, you met her earlier. She was walking through the house, but she's a miracle child, and just amazing. We have 3 amazing kids that are very busy and very fun. And
so after your first one, the others came easy? Or
yeah, no problems, no problems. But it was it's pretty amazing. My youngest now, he's involved. In fact, he's got his playoff tonight in a basketball team he's on. So yeah, they're very busy, very involved in a lot of different things, and not politics so much, but other things, which is great. But I don't know what else to cover childhood ways.
Now, your wife, y'all met? They were both pharmacists.
Well, no, I was an intern, and she was a clerk at the pharmacy. And so I think I walked in, and she likes to say I drove up in my sporty little BMW. It was really an old piece of crap BMW, to be honest with you, but it was kind of cool. I liked it. But tooled up there, and she was in a pharmacy, by the way, she was stocking cigarettes.
Of course.
Yeah, of course, in a pharmacy, right? And so I'll never forget seeing her and getting to work. We had a lot of fun. I mean, anybody who knows me very well knows what a smart aleck I am. And so I was like that back then. It's always liked to play practical jokes. And, it's...
Where was this at, here in Norman?
In Noble.
In Noble, okay.
Yeah, just right down the street. Yeah,
now, both of y'all went to OU? You got your bachelor's?
Both went to OU. I was in pharmacy school at that time. She was studying. When I first met her, she was finishing up high school. But when she started at OU, she was an education major for a while. But then she switched to pharmacy. She always wanted to be a pharmacist, so she switched to pharmacy. And we got married in '92 before I graduated. I graduated in '93, and she graduated a couple of years later.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I've always been a business person. And so I think my dad used to say, when he could walk, he started working. I mean, I always loved not necessarily making money, but just working and trying trying
Your
to be
motivation
successful.
was to not be poor?
Not to be poor,
Right.
or not to be laying around, not to not work. I always enjoy working. To this day, I just not happy if I'm not busy and doing something. Sometimes it's play, but at least you're busy. You do equipment. I mean, it's your business for you, but I actually enjoy going out and tooling with equipment and fixing things up. But
so when you came out of school, did you work for someone else, or did you immediately go into your own business?
I already had several of my own companies at the time. I had a computer company where I sold, back in that day, back in my day, as my kids would say, back in that day, you didn't buy computers off the shelf so much. You had them built for you. And so I put together, assembled computers for people.
Okay.
And when I got the job in the pharmacy, I started doing it for pharmacies, which I found to be a little bit more lucrative because they needed more equipment and more stuff, so I could make more money. And so I had that company. I had a very busy lawn landscaping company.
Okay.
And so I already had companies. But, when we got married, I went to work for Eckerd Pharmacy, which doesn't exist anymore, but very big chain back then, and worked for them. And then I didn't like that much. So when the opportunity came up,
an employee pharmacist,
it was okay.
For a change.
I enjoyed interacting with my patients, but it's just really that pharmacy was really, really busy. So I really didn't have much time to visit with people and to talk to them about their health care and stuff. It was just so busy. But I did some work for a guy down in Purcell. His name was Don Woolley. He owned a pharmacy called Don's Pharmacy. And so I'd been doing computer work for him for a couple of years. And he had told me several times, especially after I got married, he said, you guys, if you ever get a chance, you should drive out to Blanchard. It's a really nice community. You guys could buy a little house there. It's inexpensive. And we have a little pharmacy there. You're welcome to come in and say hi. And so that was always on the back of my mind. So it was like in August of 1995. I'll never forget this. We were out. We always like to go driving. So we were out on a Sunday drive. I said, let's go out to Blanchard and just look around. So we went out there. We drove up to this little pharmacy, which was it's the same place it is today. It was in a little strip deal with a gas station. So you pull in there, and there's a big sign on the door. This was Sunday. And it said, last day of business is Tuesday.
Oh, wow. Closing.
Going out of business. Last day is Tuesday, so get your drugs because we're going to be gone. Wow. And so I called Don. I said, what's going on? I just was out there. He goes, well, I'm losing $5,000 a month. I can't afford to keep it open anymore, and so I'm going to have to shut it down. And I don't know. This is before I understood how to buy a company.
Right, sure.
That you don't buy a company losing money. This is before I really understood
just
business.
like buying the house? Yeah.
Yeah. You don't spend $500,000 on a house worth $200,000, right? So you don't really buy a company typically that's losing money. But I was pretty ignorant, which is sometimes bliss. But anyway, I called him. I said, what's going on? I mean, why are you closing down? And like I just said, he told me he's losing money. He can't afford to do it. And I said, well, can you keep it open for a little while? He said, really? Yeah, I would like to give it a shot. And he goes, okay, I'll keep it open for 2 weeks, and you can see if you can come up with the money. And
so did you go down there and kind of work alongside them, check out their business, or just
no?
Okay.
No, I had
enough about the
I had
business.
enough faith in my own abilities, I guess, as a worker and a entrepreneur that I could rescue anything.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm 20-some years old. I'm bulletproof and can do whatever I want, right? Cody, you're just, and you're there too. I mean, there's a time in life which I think by God's design, especially as men, I mean, we can do anything. We can conquer the world. We can take over countries. We can invent the next great thing. I mean, we're
supposed to be wired that way.
It's by design, and maybe mine was wired a little tighter than others. I don't know, but
so you were 27 at the time.
Yeah,
somewhere around there.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Let's see. Yeah, no, I was maybe 28, 29, something like that. But anyway, somewhere up in there. I had absolutely. It never even crossed my mind that it's foolish to buy something going out of business. It never even crossed my mind. So I went to some banks my wife's family banked with, and they all said no.
Yeah.
I said, do you have credit? No. Do you have money? No. Because to borrow money, I learned, because we did own a house, but we did it through like a first buyer's mortgage thing. You didn't have to come up with much money and all of that. But anyway, finally, I went to the bank where he banked, and of course,
his note was.
Yeah, so they want to get somebody else on that note besides him, somebody that can pay the bill, right?
But he was renting the
He's renting the facility, right?
So
right.
You couldn't borrow against the collateral.
No, I had no credit at all.
Buying the business.
Yeah, and so we did an SBA where technically you got to come up with the 20%.
Yeah.
But I didn't have the 20%, so Don Woolley's such a great guy. He actually carried the 20%, even though he knew he wasn't supposed to.
Yeah.
So he carried the 20%. We borrowed the 80%, and it took a couple years before it really could pay anything, but it eventually did well.
Now, did you run that while you were still working for Eckerd? Or
I did relief for Eckerd.
Okay.
Lisa kept a job somewhere else for about 6 months a year, and I
continued some income somewhere, right?
Yeah, I continued to do relief for Eckerd and Ardmore, and I ran all over the state. So,
okay.
But it started doing it, but I wasn't doing that long, because in 1996, the very next year, I started an online pharmacy before online pharmacies really existed much. And then, my business track is just, I don't think you got 10 hours.
Yeah.
It's really,
hit the topics.
Yeah. So I started an online company the next year, and in 97.
So was it like online subscriptions?
No, online pharmacy. So you got online. I mainly focused on hair loss products diet, a lot of weight loss stuff. Yeah. And so I catered to people all over the country. I worked with several specialized docs. I did a lot of compounding, which got me into my next thing, because I did all this compounding. So I needed to get trained, because in pharmacy school, they don't train you on that very much.
Right.
So you really need to go out if you're going to do it right. So I found a company out of Amarillo. And I think one thing I do, I credit most to Lisa and family and everything else to success, but I'll never forget about an ostrich burger. I always think about this ostrich burger, and it was 1997, and I'm in Amarillo getting trained how to compound. We're already compounding like crazy, but I want to learn to do it better and get better processes and more efficient. And so I met a guy there. He was just happening through. So we were training. It's a pretty big company. So we're training, but the owner walks through, and they all introduce him, and people clap or whatever. I can't remember. But his name was John Raines. And I was just immediately impressed with his business. It was just crowded. It was busy. They were booked up year round. And anyway, it's just an impressive company. And so I found a minute to try to find him. And I just, I said, I'd love to meet with you and, talk about what you do here. And, to my surprise, he's like, oh, yeah, let's go to lunch. And
really?
So, he took me to lunch, just me and him. This is a big shot, multi-gazillionaire.
He didn't have to give you the time.
Oh, not at all. Not at all. Absolutely not. I was really stunned that he did. Yeah. And so he took me to a little local, as my dad would say, choke and puke, a little local restaurant. Yeah. And he said, you got to try an ostrich burger. And I'm like, this is a bizarre lunch. So I was like, but I asked him, I said,
where's the punchline?
Yeah, where's the punchline? Okay. How many people have survived an ostrich burger? Because I knew not. But anyway, I just asked him, I said, what could I do for you to get a little piece of what you got? A little piece of the success. And he just kind of looked at me and said, you know what, I'll think about that. He said, that's a good, I don't think anybody's asked me that. I'll think about that. And so he called me. I hadn't heard from him. He called me about a month later. He said, come back out here. I got something I want to propose to you. So I drove back out to Amarillo, which was a start of many monthly drives to Amarillo. It's a boring drive. Right. 4 hours of nothing.
4 hours.
Of nothing. And I would put up, Lisa would stay. They had an old hotel there. I think it was called Ambassador or something like that. It's really nice. They had a TGIFs in the ground floor. And so she would stay there, and I would meet. And anyway, he said, if you could write a software program or come up with a software program, we don't have anything in the compounding pharmacy world.
And you knew things about software?
I just started programming.
More hardware stuff.
I was just started programming because I did some projects for the pharmacy I worked for, because he knew I was computer savvy. So I wrote some minimal things. I wrote a program to manage my landscaping company, and then I wrote a program for the Norman Regional Hospital to get out of my internship.
Wow, no kidding.
Yeah, a pharmacokinetics program. I wrote it years ago, and he said, if you can do this, then you don't have to do the internship.
This was back before all these tools like Jobber and QuickBooks, right, and all that. You had to build your own.
Yeah, actually, the first automation I did was I automated a spreadsheet called Lotus. I don't know if you ever heard of it. Lotus 1, 2, 3. Yeah, so I wrote a program for the pharmacy I worked at to automate Lotus. It was one of the first programs I ever wrote, period. But anyway, he said, if you can learn to do that, I didn't know how to write something that significant. So it took me 2 years. It took me about a year of that to learn how to write that
so
level
this is
of
writing
software.
code.
Writing code, right. And so it took me I had written programs, but not to this level. And so it took me about 6 months or a year to learn to write to that level. And then I wrote the program. So we released it. So he told me, he said, if you can do it, I promise I'll sell 10 copies at least a month.
Wow.
And I said, oh, okay. And these are expensive. It's like $1,000 piece of software, so it's not cheap. And so it took me 2 years, but we released it in January of 1999. And to his credit, as long as he owned the company for a few more years, and the time he owned the company, at least 10 every month.
No
at
kidding.
least the whole time. Yeah. And if it didn't sell it, he still paid me. Like there were a couple months where I only sold 7, but I agreed to pay you, so you're going to get paid. So it was a
good partner.
It was a great partnership, and John. Yeah, John got caught up into some drug problems and stuff. Ended up taking his life. This is a horrible story. Yeah, but great start for me. And anyway, my entrepreneurship. Again, we could take up. I know you probably want to talk about something else, but I have been very blessed. But I always say this: I talk to a pharmacy group. I used to talk to pharmacy groups all the time, and they would sometimes afterwards they'd say. Oh, well, you got lucky or something like that. And so I started saying it in my talk to them. It is not lucky to find a company going out of business and being stupid enough to buy it. Yes, maybe that is opportunity and it worked, but be careful what you think is lucky, because maybe I was able to do it, but doesn't mean that you can buy a failing company and succeed. So be careful.
And most businesses, especially small businesses, fail.
Yes.
You can't. Sometimes you are lucky to find the deal.
Yes.
But if you're not confident and tough to see it through,
and you don't know that area, so you could buy a real estate company, but if you don't know anything about real estate, you could
think you're going to get rich buying rent houses,
right? The grass is always greener. That's the philosophy I love the best, because everybody always thinks that. Well, if I just had what that guy had or that guy had, well, go get it, but don't be jealous. Just use that jealousy to your benefit. Go chase your own stars.
Well, both of those, in the case of your small pharmacy too, and the software, that was relationship too.
Most
building that relationship.
Relationships are so key. I mean, when I look back through my life, it is so key, from family to business to everything else. I mean, humans are very, very relational. And that's one thing missed at the Capitol sometimes. Is people forget how relational it is.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, you can get rhinos to vote for your stuff if you're relational enough.
Right.
Or rhinos can get conservatives to vote for their stuff if it's So it's very relational, and I value the friend. I have some dear friendships as a result of my time there, my time in business and everything else. Yeah. So it's
so coming into 2000s, you've got your pharmacy in Blanchard, and then you're still doing the online. The cyber pharmacy and the software business. Well, so what's Lisa doing?
So Lisa at that time was running the retail store in Blanchard most of that time, and so I began in the early 2000s. I wrote the software I wrote in the 90s was a small for compounding, what it's called. Okay. But I decided to write a massive program for a pharmacy management system. I called that one Compound Assist, by the way, and then I wrote a full management system called Script Assist. I released that in the early 2000s, and I still have both of those products. They're on they're rewritten several times, but which I have written all of those. There's no telling how many millions of lines of code that I've written. I mean, it takes people don't realize that it takes a lot of code. But anyway, but I started this. So I transitioned. As a lot of people struggle with. Just kidding. But anyway, it's I did transition to online because that kind of went away with some legal things. So what's weird is in the late 90s and early 2000s, online mail order pharmacy became a bad thing. Like, really? And partly because of what some people were using it for. Some people were using it for drugs, addictions, different things like that. I get that.
They were abusing multiple different doctors in this.
Yeah, maybe so. But I understand that. However, today, the things I pioneered 20 plus years ago are exactly what people want today.
Right.
People want to talk to their doctor through Zoom today. I mean, I did this before Zoom existed.
No kidding.
Yeah. So I wrote.
You could do remote visits.
Oh yeah,
and
in the
remote-
early 2000s, I wrote a whole suite of software programs that allowed for patients to interact with their doctor through the internet and do everything from weight loss to hair loss to some pain management. We didn't do schedule, hydrocodone and stuff like that. But it's but I eventually stopped doing that just simply because the regulations became too difficult, and I probably should have kept going because eventually it would have become in vogue.
Right.
But I did all of that and I did a lot of other work during that time, and then bought my largest company I bought in 2006. I bought a German company called Gacco or Ungwater, which I negotiated through relationships. One of my best friends one of the best friends I made, who's still a good friend, even though that relationship went sour with the business relationship. His name was Thomas or Thomas, I guess in German. Yeah. But he helped me negotiate that whole thing. It was a big, massive company out of Germany that really. They sold stuff in the U.S., but they just didn't know how to do it, and they didn't know how to service it. So I bought the rights to North and South America. So I bought their American division, essentially. And because of those relationships, and I wrote a lot of software for them building up to that, which kind of helped build that.
Were they a software product?
No, they were a hardware product. So I wrote some software to operate. So they had developed some hardware with software integration capability, but they didn't have the know-how to write the actual software, so they had to farm it out. So they farmed it out to a company in Germany to write the German and European version. So I was essentially, before I bought the company, I was the U.S. version to write it because I already had software that was close to what they needed. So I wrote that, and then ended up buying that company in 2006, and took a lot of trips to Germany. I'll just say I was in Switzerland. It was so exhausting. I got so tired of travel. I got people would tell me kind of like the lucky thing with buying a broken pharmacy. Oh, you're so lucky you get to travel. Yeah, it was good for a year or two.
Yeah.
But after having to wake up in the middle of the night and fly to Germany the next day and have meetings the following day, it's exhausting. And I enjoyed it. I mean, don't get me wrong. I was very blessed. And wouldn't trade it, but it was.
So 2006, had y'all had your first child yet?
No. Yes.
Been close, right?
Our oldest was just born. She came with me on our first trip as a family to Germany in the fall of 2007.
So
so every year I would take a family trip to Germany too, which was cool.
You're traveling with.
Yeah, we took but eventually took. My son has only been there a couple of times, but we eventually took all of them, and honestly that. Kind of there's a political piece to that, if nothing, well, two kind of really, because one is I tried to write legislation for an Autobahn here in Oklahoma. I was trying to turn the Turner Turnpike into no speed limits. I tried that for years.
Yeah.
In fact, the OTA and the ODOT would always slam me, and the transportation chair he finally heard it. But one year I got my business colleague and friend to set up an appointment with their Department of Transportation. So I actually went over there and took the plans for Turner Turnpike to
Germany.
The engineers in Germany that developed their highways, and we went through this whole long meeting, and they explained all this stuff, and we had to have an interpreter for one of the guys, because one of the guys didn't speak any English, and so we went through all of this, and finally, after like hours, Germans can spend a long time discussing things, but after 2 or 3 hours of them giving me their time for free, anyway, I finally just asked the question that's the only question I really wanted to get the answer to: would this have a speed limit in Germany? Oh, no speed limit.
Really?
It's like, that's really the only reason I needed. Yeah, all this other stuff I'm going to forget by the time I get to the U.S. But they rewrote the plans and put it on German. They did some cool stuff to help me, and I took all this back. And the transportation chair, to his credit, one of my dear friends, Gary Stanislavski, he agreed to hear it after that.
At least
but it didn't go very far because of I would never forget I don't want to knock any of these transportation people. They're all good people in my opinion, but one of the things they told me is, well, the headlights won't go over the hill.
Oh.
And it's weird because light travels at the speed of light. So it's the hill that's the problem, not the lights. But anyway, they have a night speed limit. I mean, in Germany, there's a night speed limit. You don't travel at 120 at night,
right?
Just during the day. But anyway, but I enjoyed those trips. And the second political part is when when one of my several deserts happened with that company, I thought I might lose, like, not just that company, but everything. I was running for pro tem of the Senate in 2018. I think I would have won. I'm sure I would have won, actually. And but I had to leave the race because I was having to go to Germany all the time. I was getting sued by every other turn by them. And this all started coming to a head about November of 2018, and the election for pro tem was the next spring.
You just couldn't.
I did, and that
commitments,
and I didn't wind that up with God's help until May of the next year. And so it was. I knew it was going to be a 6-month to a year-long battle, and I just couldn't reconcile doing both of those. And I had to the chagrin of the people that had helped me so much, I had to pull out. And unfortunately, I had high hopes for the guy that ended up taking it, Tree, but extremely disappointed with him. I can't even begin to express the disappointment I had having to pull out of that for an honest reason. And then the way he treated conservatives like myself and Nathan and others is just abominable. I'm so disappointed in that time. They blocked a lot of things. It's not just that; it's the way they treat. I don't mind the blocking. I mean, that's what people do. But the way he treated, and some of the people around him treated like good people. Yeah. Like Nathan's one of the best people I've ever met in my life. Period. I say that very sincerely. And the way he was treated by Treat is just—it's like Treat took enjoyment in persecuting a very good man. I think I'm a good person. He did that to me, but I look at somebody like Nathan. I'm like, he's a good, truly strong good man, Christian, good man. How do you enjoy that? Right. I mean, I remember one time and we haven't got to politics yet, but he moved his committee. So we always left by noon on Thursday. We had a wrap-up lunch on Thursday at noon. Everybody went home, and for those working people out there, I believe citizen legislators need to have another job. Right. So they're not done working. They're going home to
their real job.
They're me. They're going home to the real job, and noon on Thursday is not quick enough. Right. But we left at noon. I'd probably been that way for 100 years, and so he moved Nathan's committee to 1:30 on Thursday afternoon. He swore he didn't do it for anything. He did it to punish
knowing
him.
That he would be gone to Tulsa. Be heading out. Yeah.
No, knowing he had to make him stay so he couldn't spend more time at home. He had to, and people wouldn't want to stay to go to the committee meeting. It's just petty.
There's little stuff like that.
A lot of stuff is just super petty. Fired him from his presiding officer job, a job that Nathan really enjoyed doing, where you preside over this. Right. Anyway, we can talk about that.
Well, that kind of brings us into that. So late 2000, 2010 range, you're running several businesses.
Yes.
Did you?
Anything less than a dozen businesses is too small, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
But when did you run? 2012?
Well, I first was running.
Did you run for anything before that? Or
no.
How did you get involved in those politics?
So it's interesting, in my opinion. So when I was in Blanchard, running the pharmacy day to day, just enjoying meeting people, I always had people talk to me on occasion because the mayor actually worked for me for a time and other people. So I had people on occasion, you should run. I don't live there, so I couldn't really do that anyway. But, none of that fell on listening ears. I had no desire, no interest whatsoever. But you know what happened? What changed? Can you guess what changed?
Was it the 2008?
No, this would have been happening in the early 2000s, late 90s, when people would talk to me about this. So my heart changed somewhere in the early 2000s.
With 9/11 or something?
No.
Oh.
No, it was somebody came along more important than me. My first child was born.
Okay.
My worldview, I always say this, I had a biblical worldview before then, for sure. My faith was strong, although we didn't attend church as well as we should, like everybody else, and all of those things. But I volunteered in the youth pastor. I served on leadership roles in the church. I did the things that I felt that I should do. But I never had any interest in public office whatsoever.
But once you had your first child, you start thinking more longer term.
You think, and Obama was in office and destroying the country, if you will. And so I didn't think about those things from the idea of running for office. And then my child comes along, and my worldview changes from not just biblical, but what are you going to do, biblical worldview. I mean, if you don't like what's going on, I sound like my wife talking to me now. If you don't like what's going on, do something about it.
Sure.
And so the first
you don't sound like a guy that just lets things go. If you can do something about it, you're going to jump in there and do
that's
it.
Right. I when my heart tells me to do something, Cody, I just can't help myself. I got to jump in and do it. Whether good or bad, right or wrong, I think you should follow your heart, unless your heart's dark and evil.
Sure. Yeah.
You should follow your heart. This is a message to some of the people I serve with, unless it's dark and evil. Anyway, just kidding. I should qualify that before I go on. Most people I serve with are really good people, whether they're liberal or conservative. Most of them mean very, very well.
Sure.
I want to get that clear. But they could be wrong. They mean
They
well.
can be wrong.
Yeah, all right. But so where was I?
Talking about.
Oh yeah. So the city of Norman, which I affectionately call the People's Republic of Norman.
Sure.
I've been doing that for many years. I think it's catching on a little bit now. But they decided to do a gay month, an LGBT month. So be it. You do a gay month. I don't know what that is exactly, but I don't think there's a Christian month.
Right.
I don't know there's a, we could actually go into all the denominations, a Catholic month. We could do all these things. I mean,
where do we stop?
So it's the thing about I think people with faith need to wake up to, if they really have faith, is there's a difference between pro-faith or pro-Christianity. I just say pro-faith because, I'm not going to sit here and think that I know all the answers. I know the answers for me and my heart and my family. I'm not going to pretend to know everybody else's right and wrong. But I do know there's a difference between pro-faith and anti-faith. I believe both are a religion.
Sure.
If you're going to knock my religion, that's your religion, in my opinion. So to do a month dedicated to something that's the antithesis of my beliefs, isn't that a belief?
Yeah.
And so I went, this is the first time I ever spoke up in public. I went to the city council and I said, I didn't talk about it from a Bible thumping, fire and brimstone, because I'm not a pastor, I'm not a preacher. So I didn't talk about it from that point of view. I talked about it from a divisive point of view. You're sitting here dedicating a month to something that's against the majority of your population. Right. It's not that they're anti-gay, but making something dedicated to something that's against their beliefs is just, it's just divisive. It would be if we did a pro-Christian month and told everybody they got to hang their Christian flags on the front of their door that month. Or their, rainbow flag this month, Christian flag next month, Jewish flag the next month. Where does it stop?
Sure.
So it's divisive, and they still do it to this day. In fact, I've made the error of supporting some local candidates, and it seems like as soon as they get in, they're supporting it. I don't.
Yeah.
Beyond it's a story for anyway. I spoke there. Then I decided to run for governor, of course, as every good politician does. Yeah, and so I decided to run for governor. First meeting I had besides family was with my pastor, Joe Grizzle, who I love so dearly. Such a good man. But anyway, I met with him, and of course, as you might expect, yes, Rob, you should do that. You will be a great governor.
He didn't talk you out of it.
Oh, no, not at all, not at all. And so he, in fact, he told me that it's odd that you say that, because I had another person in our congregation that told me the same thing.
Really?
Yeah, for sure. And I know I found out later who that was, and I really liked the guy, but he didn't end up running for governor either.
So you were just going straight to the top.
Oh, yeah.
Governor.
Yeah, if you're going to make a change.
Not city council, not mayor.
No, never even had any desire or inkling to run for a local office like that. But I remember I was sitting in my office in the pharmacy one day, and I get a call from Congressman Cole's chief of staff, and I knew Tom Cole a little bit, like just from a bit, like I had talked to his office a little bit about professional business stuff, but he had never really done anything that I'd asked or done, but I had met him a couple of times, but didn't really know him. Anyway, his chief of staff, who was coincidentally a fraternity brother of mine at a different school, but we served in the same fraternity. And so he said, could I come out and meet with you? And I go, sure. So he comes out there, and he's super nice, great guy, super, super nice, as I find Tom Cole to be as well, by the way, but super nice, especially against a Texan.
Yeah.
But he came there, and he spent good amount of time talking me down, if you will, but in a very respectful, nice way.
You could tell it was obvious he was talking you out of it.
Yeah, I could tell, but I'm open to anything. And so he didn't convince me that day, but he planted the seed that Senator Jonathan Nichols was term limited, and that would be a reasonable step to go there and then maybe go to governor. Okay. It's kind of the what Tom, I think, had sent him to do. And I think it was really more from a perspective that the congressman, I guess, respected me enough that he would like to see me in office instead of losing, because not knowing anything about politics and not wanting to spend
governor race.
And I'm not willing to spend any of my family money on politics. That's silly. But in my opinion, I mean, if you do it, that's fine. But I don't think more than you can is not smart. But because you might lose.
Sure.
You know, if you lose, you can never get it back. But anyway, I thought about it, prayed about it, and came to the conclusion. So I actually ran. Jonathan Nichols, who I admire greatly. He's not with us any longer, but I admired him so much. He ended up running for judge, and he lost. But I was running, and I don't think I'd have won. I hate to say that about myself, but I'm not sure if I'd have won that race. Lisa will argue with me, but there was another guy in the race that had a lot more money, and it was going to be a compressed special election, so it would have happened within a month or two. And so he had a lot more money, and I did learn a valuable lesson, though. I tried to talk him out of running, and I learned that that's not really a good approach with strong type A personalities.
But just fire him up more?
Yeah, just fires him up more. Yeah, and made him a little pissed, really, actually. But actually, and he ended up supporting me, though, when it was an actual run, because he didn't have time to run a full-blown year-long. And one of my opponents, Harold Harrelson, used to be the mayor of Norman, a physician. He had started the campaign so much earlier, so he was the kind of odds-on favorite going in. So I was nobody expected me to win at all. I mean,
This was 2012?
In 2012, right.
Yeah.
So nobody would have expected me ever to win. But I did, and won pretty handily, actually, so very proud of that. But
in Norman, in this Senate district, you would have a Democrat opponent, I'm assuming.
Every time, yes.
Yeah.
Every time I have a Democrat opponent. My toughest Democrat opponent wasn't really my first time. I actually had a lot of respect for my first Democrat opponent, Claudia Griffith. She's not with us any longer either. She was liberal, but she was very respectful. She was a professional nurse, I think. Her and her husband served on city council for many years. Very nice people.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't share my beliefs on a lot of different things, but I think they were
what we call one of the crazies.
No, not really. But my other two, yes, very much so. In fact, my last Democrat opponent was the pole climber, I like to call her. She's the girl that on the Trump thing in Tulsa, she's the one that tried to climb the flagpole and rip down the flag.
Oh my gosh!
I don't know if you remember that at all, but that was my opponent.
Really?
Yeah. She was a serious cat. She worked hard as a candidate, but in Norman, you never know.
Right.
It's. I don't call it the People's Republic for nothing.
So when you got into office, 2012, Mary Fallin was still governor?
Mary Fallin, yes. I love Mary Fallin. She had a rough time as governor, but I do have immense respect for her. Yes.
What, in your terms, like going up to, because I guess because my state rep and good friend Brad Bowles went in 2018, so it's kind of like that, the teacher walkout is where I see that
was a rough time.
Flip, but
yeah. I was one of only 4 people, by the way, that voted against that tax cut.
Really?
Yeah. And I think people thought, because a couple of House members got beat after that, and they claim it was because they voted no on the tax cut. I disagree. I think there was a concerted effort in the House to get rid of conservatives, and they used many, many reasons to do so.
Sure, yeah.
But that was a rough time. I wasn't against giving teachers a raise. That's the politics of those unions. So the unions only care about causing division. They're really I think they're almost more political than they are pro-teacher.
Right.
And so did teachers need a raise? Yeah, we got to keep, just like in my businesses, you got to be competitive.
Sure.
You got to keep good quality. But money's not the only answer. I mean, we have some problems in our teachers' ranks, and it's not because of lack of money. We got some people out there that, that don't do what people expect them to do. They push bad books. I could go in and things that I've battled over the years. It's just, it's really disheartening when you see the bad ones get away with murder. Yeah. And that's a problem with the unions. Have become so powerful in Oklahoma that now they're only policing themselves. And so it's self-perpetuating. So Oklahoma will be so better served if Ryan Walters is successful in his teacher union thing or whatever, so that we can have, I want teachers to have a good job, wanted to make good money, and they do make a decent living, considering the amount of time they invest each year. But we got to be able to get rid of bad ones.
Sure,
they spoiled the whole apple pie.
Definitely need a merit-based system.
Yeah, and in rural Oklahoma,
with tenure, and it's hard to fire someone.
Yeah, well, in rural Oklahoma, it's probably not much of an issue in most parts. Although Bixby had the horrible thing, Bristow and Bixby had the horrible thing with all the books, and that's about as rural as you get.
In small town Oklahoma, we don't see it as much because we're, Bible Belt. There's Baptist church on every corner.
Might want to look in your libraries. So.
See what's in there.
You might. Yeah. See, no parents ever go in there. That's a battle I fought, and I think it's still raging on because I wasn't
I remember
successful.
that to put. everything online where your parents could see it and have access to everything.
Yeah. But,
well, your time in the Senate, I didn't mean to go off on education like that.
Yeah, tangent.
Your time in the Senate, you served out your full tenure term, right? Like
12 years. Yeah.
Any your highlights of the bills that you pushed through, or was it a lot?
I passed a lot of legislation.
I guess I figured you went into politics because of business, for pharmaceutical and healthcare type stuff.
I carried pharmacy bills for what I would say the profession, not so much the business. But no, not at all. Pharmacy really I'm glad to help while I was there, but my focus was really on kids from the beginning. I ran school choice legislation every year I was there. I ran the bill to make it where kids didn't have to wear masks. That was Stitt's favorite bill that year. I mean, I was one of the primary authors on the CRT legislation, on the gender. The thing, what bugged me in these last few years is, let's take the gender bill, if you will, that did get upheld. I mean, I was an author on that, and I'm fine with it passing. The problem we came into in the last 4, 5, 6 years, really since Treat took over, is we've turned into a body where it's a top-down approach. I think I heard Jake Merrick talk about that. It's unfortunate because you have 48 people there that all have ideas of their own. Those ideas should be given the same respect as the people in the small. Because I was in the small room most of my time there. I was in leadership almost my entire time. As hard as they tried to get rid of me, I was in leadership pretty much my entire time. I could have been in leadership all the way to the end if I hadn't ran for pro tem for the last 2 years. But it was getting so bad that I felt like I had to.
You had to run.
I had to. I mean, and I only lost against the sitting pro tem by 1 vote. I mean, that's very unheard of, I would imagine.
Jake, to reference that, Jake was talking about the blocking and committee assignments and things that aren't getting heard, and representatives aren't getting their constituents' bills heard.
So I disagree with Jake a little bit, because Jake wasn't there when it was good. So I was a chair of 2 committees for my first 6 years. I was chair of. I came in and was made vice chair when I first came in. And this wasn't to buy my vote for anything. This is because I was the most qualified. And so the first 6 years I was there was based on respect, capability, knowledge. I mean, Brian Bingman, who I alluded to earlier, one of the best leaders I've met inside and outside politics, which is unusual. Most leaders in politics don't always get to be leaders because they're good people. Yeah. Brian Bingman was a good man. I think he's corporation commissioner.
Now, isn't he?
Good man. A great leader for a political body, because what he allowed people to do was play in the sandbox. I mean, he would allow people. I remember one instance where we had the gross production tax incentive. So this was incentive for horizontal drilling. I was for it, actually. But there was many of my freshman class, or several of my freshman class, that were against it. Really? Mike Mazie was involved in this fight. Yeah.
Because people didn't want to give tax cuts to the oil companies.
Yes. So they wanted to. Some of these folks wanted to raise taxes, which I found bizarre, because I came in wanting to lower taxes. So even against oil companies, I'm not for raising taxes. So even the evil oil company, I'm not. It's so bizarre. But anyway, so
the thinking that you could tax the rich and that the poor will benefit.
It's not our system. Actually, our system is not to punish those that succeed. Our system is to make everybody pay their fair share. But anyway, even those that their fair share may be 50 cents, pay your fair share. But anyway, so we are brought into the woodshed, if you will, into the floor leader's office, which I am absolutely fine with all of this type of things, because the leadership wanted this bill passed, right? So they bring in the freshman class they put us into 2 groups. So they split us in half. So I'm in group with like 4 or 5 other guys. And one of the guys, I'll mention his name, is Corey Brooks, Senator Brooks, and I got along with Corey fine. But Corey was more into, he wanted to raise tax. He wanted to make the gross production tax up to 7% or something like that at the time, I believe. There were several like that. Got him beat, unfortunately. Right. I mean, he's a good guy, just wanted to raise taxes. I think that's a bad move for Duncan America, right? But especially with Halliburton hanging around,
de-incentivize them to invest.
That's correct. Well, they'll just go to another state. Like Harold Hamm told us, well, you do this, I'll just put more resources in North Dakota. I mean, if you do this, and so. But anyway, this was before that. Nobody was really talking at this time of raising gross. That came back in 2018
with the teacher walkout.
Yeah, teacher walkout, which I was still not for. But anyway, so we're in this room, and so Corey. Again, like him, nice guy, respect him. But he gets up and he's railing against pro tem. And he thinks he's in a room with just his freshman class. And that's fine. We rail against people when we're in a room where nobody's listening.
Yeah.
So he's railing against him. Well, Brian Bing was a very quiet guy. He's a very unassuming, quiet guy. So guess who kind of sidled in about halfway through the tirade was Brian Bingman.
He sneaks in there.
Yeah, he did. He wasn't no sneaking. He just happened to come in the room, and Corey had no idea he was there. And Corey just goes on and on about how he didn't vote for him and how he didn't have anything to do with his election. He came in here and all this. I mean, just reading him the right act when he's not there. And so finally he kind of goes, oh, and he sets down. And, you would think if it was the environment with Treat and these other people that are not good people, if they were in charge, like the guy that's currently in charge, and they heard they would punish them.
Oh, yeah.
And these are all.
But Ryan kind of let it go.
Brian, matter of not just let it go. I mean, later Corey wanted to do various things. Brian let him do about anything he wanted to do. I mean, not more than anybody else, but not less.
Right.
And so Brian understood, I think, as well did Mike Schultz, who followed him, that we have 48 unique. Some we like, some we don't.
Yeah.
Some we think are right, some we think are stupid, but they all earn the right to be here.
Right.
And
they deserve to get their time to be heard.
Yeah, but back to the hearing and not hearing, though, I firmly believe a good chairman has the right to hear or not. You can never hear all the bills. It's not physically possible.
Yeah. Several thousand bills every session.
But you have to have the right chairman, and the pro tem has to have the cojones to fire him when they're not serving the interest. So if you bring your bill and I'm the chairman, let's say, and I don't like you, so I'm not going to hear your bill, but the little Missy, I like taking her out for drinks on Friday night, so I'm going to hear her bill. So that's when it goes wrong, and that's how it is today. Is they have their little favorites they hear. That's wrong. So you should hear it. You should actually blind yourself to the author and just hear it whether you want to hear it or not. And they can't seem to do that these days. And they did it. I don't think Schultz or Bingham would have, when I was chair, I think if I would have treated somebody differently because who they were, I guarantee I'd have got a call to their office and they would have said, now, why did you decide? Yeah. I never got that call once.
Is it because now it's just our politics have gotten so divisive, or has it always been divisive?
I think the caucus is really large, and I think some of these leaders have. I honestly think they just have the wrong mindset. I think they have the mindset that somehow the enemy is within the 40, just because they disagree with them. Right. Like the guy that was beat down in Ada, he had Greg McCourty. He had a disdain, I think is the best. He had a disdain for conservatives like me. I mean, you could tell it in his eyes that he disliked you just because you had conservative
with him or something.
Yeah, I remember when I ran a bill to remove the mask mandates in cities and state and everything. That's my first iteration of the bill because I think it's absolutely stupid and ridiculous. From a legal and health professional, I researched the health side of it. I met with the mask czar in Oklahoma at the university campus in the city, the Health Science Center, and I had him tell me all that he knew, and he don't know much.
Didn't make sense.
No, it makes no sense at all. Even if you want to look like the Planet of the Apes, it still makes no sense. But anyway, he stood up, walked the vote, and invited not the Republicans to walk with him, but the Democrats to walk with him. And I'm like, I'm just telling the government not to force people to do something against their will. And it's
whether or not you agree the mask work, it still shouldn't be
just
a mandate.
Sit down and vote no, or debate against it and vote no. I mean, but the climate has changed. I think it may be a little bit better now than it was a couple of years ago, but it's still not good.
Since you've left, leadership has changed.
Yes, yeah. I think it's a little, maybe a scotch better, but it's still the same problem with you have some chair that seem to be on a more on a personality politics than these 48 people. They deserve to be there. Yeah. If they don't, then the voters will kick them out in 4 years, right?
So how's the last 15 years? Just dramatic changes in Oklahoma politics, or just has gotten more?
It is dramatic change because here's the simple answer. Actually, it's the evolution of politics. So whenever somebody's in charge, so it's like okay, let's say you're a Dallas Cowboy fan, or you were, like me.
Yeah, me too.
So when they start losing a lot, do you remain a Dallas Cowboy fan, or do you go to the Buccaneers where Baker went?
Yeah.
Well, you follow me. You go to the Buccaneers. Now you don't even care if Dallas wins or not, right?
Yeah.
People tend to go with winners.
Right.
So what's happened in Oklahoma is the natural human course of things.
Democrats
and you say rhinos. Well, they are rhinos. They are rhinos because it doesn't make them bad people. By the way, so I use that, sounds like a derogatory term, and I guess it is, but they should be honest. I mean, they're lying from day one when they send out the mailers saying they're for smaller government, lower taxes, and then they spend their entire 12 years raising taxes, increasing the size of government. So they were Democrats, but they knew to get in office, which they wanted to be, they had to switch parties.
Yeah, historically, Oklahoma has been a Democrat state.
Oh, yeah.
Until 20 years ago,
Yeah.
25 years ago.
Yeah,
Texas changed in the 60s, 70s, I think, and then, but Oklahoma was a Democrat state, right, until 20 years ago. And when the Democrat Party was still considered the working class party or the working man, right?
I mean, you look at David Bourne as a governor, not as president of OU, but when he's a governor, he's a very conservative governor. I mean, he did a lot of things, lowered cost of living, raised wages, lowered taxes. It's and we had corruption back then. It's like we have
Oklahoma's
all the
been
time.
a very corrupt state.
Has historically.
Right?
I would argue that there probably is now, but the ruling class is so large, it's going to be hard to see in those windows and see what's going on. We need people looking in those windows to try to find it, because I believe it's going on, because there's some people up there living pretty good that seem to have stopped doing everything else.
Right.
So when that's their only job and they're doing really well, it makes you wonder, how are they doing so well?
Yeah. I understand
But and I won't go into names because I don't know any actual proof, but it should make people wonder.
So y'all went through, we talk about the 2018, the teacher walkout. Y'all had to pass tax. We had a budget deficit, right? We were in the hole.
We had a budget deficit. It wasn't horrific, but it was $800 million, I think, if I remember right.
Passed,
so we
tax
passed.
Increases,
we passed the largest tax increase in state history to fill that hole and provide a teacher raise. I felt like there was another way. In fact, there were other ways, but that's the way it went. You know what? I don't sit there and I don't gripe about things that pass. I vote against unless it's just horrific, and I don't think that's
could have
horrific.
done it a different way, but it worked.
I think so, and so it worked.
But y'all went the other way now. We're in a surplus now, right? And then y'all went back and cut taxes.
Yeah, not much. Our budget has ballooned over the last. Ever since 2018, our budget.
I think I saw that it was like $7 billion state budget back then, and now it's what, $12 billion?
Yeah, it's ballooned, and we always told ourselves in my first 6 years that we'd never let it get over like 8 or 8.5, and so we didn't. I mean, we kept it flat.
Inflation has doubled since then, so you have to almost.
No, it's
inflation adjusted numbers.
No, it's just growing government. I mean, look at the university. We raise, even when they're doing DEI like crazy. We're increasing their budget like $130 million one year, and the next year we invested $160 million in these labs. These are things universities usually take care of themselves, but yet we have this money, and so instead of sending it back to taxpayers, we feel like we got to spend it, and so that's what's been happening. Is that's
the trophy though, right? You give OU more money or OSU more money to build a stadium or a vet clinic, or
right? Yeah,
that's the big trophy, right?
Yeah,
Nobody wants to tell OU no.
We did the vet clinic too, but those are things that usually the universities take care of themselves. Though, right. But the just like your business, you don't ever expect somebody else to come in and buy you a new building. You got to build it yourself, and so
especially when they have a $5 billion endowment.
Yeah, correct. Right, they got a lot of money, but those things have passed. So no spilled milk conversation. But always, since you had Charles McCall on, I thought about this a minute ago. I like to. There's several different ways that you learn in your 12 years what's different in the House and the Senate. And I don't know if you'll appreciate this or not. You may have to cut it out, but the House is crazy. Yeah. The House is crazy. I guess it's more fun.
I've heard it defined as the House is the trailer park, the Senate's the country club.
Yeah, or the retirement house.
The retirement house.
And another way to think of it is another way. I think TW and I used to joke about this, that especially when he was running for higher office, I give him a hard time. But anyway, every House member thinks they can be governor one day, but every senator knows they'll be governor one day.
Right.
So that's the difference. But the retirement home and the trailer park is spot on as well. But it's politics is when you run for office the first time, like I did, you really have rose-colored glasses on. You really do. And you get up there, and you do find some really good things. It is a bit of a fraternity, which is kind of a nice thing. And you look after your brothers and sisters, even if you don't always agree with them. And that's on both sides of the aisle, actually. We look out for both.
Because you're kind of all going through the same thing.
The same thing, and you talk about the budget in 2018. Those are kind of fought all together. Unlike my License to Kill bill, which I'm glad to share with you. But anyway, but what you find out pretty soon as those glasses start coming down a little bit is that it's a really ugly business. There's the little bit of ugly in it makes almost the whole thing ugly, and that's what a lot of citizens see. I mean, they call and the money is so corrupting. The money is what's really odd, Cody. It's not just the money, like you would think they're putting it in their pocket. Like you think, oh, they're so corrupt because they're good. I think a lot of the money's just for their stinking campaigns. Yeah. I mean, I had when I was running for pro tem this last time. I mean, the people that flipped on me were bought. I mean, and I don't mean that to say they're corrupt, because I don't want somebody hearing this saying you're selling us all corrupt. But they were bought with campaign donations.
You feel obligated to those who are donating to your campaign,
and that's not right. You shouldn't. That should not come into your voting. But
agency capture or lobbyist capture, whatever.
Well, no, just like they got them. Treat got them anywhere from $10,000 to $50,000 to put in their campaign, and like you shouldn't trade your soul for that. I mean, that you're always going to have to live with what you did, and so I always I heard one time this, and I think it's so true. You know, they say politics is the world's second oldest profession. But I've learned in 12 years it's very close to the first.
The prostitution?
Yeah, it's very close to the first. Very, very much so. And of course, you got to understand where the word politics comes from. You know, poly on the one side and ticks on the other. So I'll let you figure that out. But it's really can be really ugly. But that being said, there's a lot of really good people. Sure. And there's a lot of people with rose-colored glasses. It takes a little while for them to understand that there is the ugly, and they need to be aware and cautious of that.
Yeah. Most people, I think you said, go in thinking, they're wanting to do good, represent their people, make change,
Yeah, and it's
part of being on the team. You kind of get corrupted by the team,
or
something, or you start playing the game, right?
And I think
you want to fit in, and
I think the longer they stay, because
all their friends become the agencies and the lobbyists and
it's not so the agencies and lobbyists are. I've always said that you ought to go in the legislature and spend the first 2 weeks doing request bills, and don't even go. Actually, just send a monkey or an intern, because you don't need a senator there to run a request by an agency or lobbyist. Why the hell? I mean, anybody can do that. Mm-hmm. So we shouldn't even do that. You should spend the majority of the session talking about each other's stupid and smart ideas. Because I'll be the first to say that I filed bills that, looking at it, second thought, think, oh, I should have wrote that different. But it's kind of like writing a chapter in the book. You get finished with a chapter, well, I think I'll leave that chapter out. So it's
did all that work for you.
Yeah, right. So it's so none of us are perfect, but there should be a time. We don't need to be spending all this time on request stuff. But I was talking to, so I was very, very passionate about public school libraries, and even libraries and indoctrination. That's always been a passion of mine from the gay month till today. And I was talking to a guy from Texas the other day at an event, and I think this kind of puts it in a nutshell, that the thing that bothers me most is when they don't care. Right. So I ran a bill a few years ago in the education committee, and I ran the bill, and the chairman of the committee tried to kill it the entire time. And then he debated against it and voted against it. He was the only Republican that voted against it. And then, so two different things about that is one, it was so bizarre. I said a dirty word. I guess it's an adult word. It's a self-gratification word. You can imagine what the word is. But anyway, I said the word because it's exactly in a book that's in the chairman's school district, and in my school district, and the Moore school district, and many other school districts. It's a diary of an Indian something or other. I can't remember the exact name.
It was inappropriate.
Yeah, and so he voted no, but then he apologized to the interns that were there for me using that word. How ironic. Right. So apologize to them, but it's okay for a sixth grader.
It's in the book in the elementary school.
It's in middle school. So 6th, 7th, 8th is where it's at. It's an 8th. It's a middle school level book.
If it was inappropriate to say in this setting,
and that's just the word. The book actually goes into describing exactly what the word means and walks the child through it.
That one.
Yeah. And so what's bizarre is, so you would apologize, but back to the don't care. It's like you came into office, and you've become so, I don't know if corrupt's the right word or whatever the right word is, that you no longer care. You know it's there. You know you don't want to give your kids that book, right? But you don't care about anybody else. And one of the senators, I won't throw this one under the bus, I could see him struggling with the vote. I mean, he's listening to the chairman and all this. I can just see him. He set a seat right in front of me as I'm talking through the bill. And you can see he's struggling with the vote. So afterwards, afterwards, he comes up and apologized to me because I think he noticed that I noticed him struggling. So he goes, I just want to do the right thing. I said, okay, fair enough. I said, do you want the books that I've shown you in this book, do you want those in the libraries for kids? Well, no. I said, don't even go any further than that. There's your vote there.
That should all that matter.
So you don't have to go in, what does this person say? What does this person? If you don't want those there, you either have to do this or file your own bill if you want to do it a different way. But your answer is there. You just discovered your right answer.
You don't need to worry about, well, are they going to
teachers
be mad
unions or his family that has
That's
teachers
the hard
in
part,
it.
though, having that fortitude. Like you,
oh yeah,
good intentions, and they knew they didn't want their kid to see it, but they also don't want to get yelled at when they go out to eat.
Right, correct.
Or somebody show up at their house.
So
or,
weakness is the major.
Yep.
You know,
I can see that.
Weakness is the main
you don't
problem
want to get
with
yelled
elected.
down.
Yeah, for sure.
You know.
But you shouldn't have run if you don't want to. Because I got kind of maybe being in Norman made me a little bit more willing to. I know the former Mayor Clark, she used to get in a Twitter battle just trashing me, and people would say, "Oh, you know, she's going after you." I said, "Yeah, it's okay. It's okay."
You got thick skin.
It doesn't roll off. I don't think Lisa as much as it does me, although it does.
Yeah.
But for me, I never cared. You know, if I feel like I'm right, then so be it. If they want to vote me out, they put the Teacher of the Year against me my first time up, and he was the 4th runner-up in the country. By the way, I know that because he said it like 10 million times.
Right, that was his claim to fame. Yeah.
Nice guy, but I wouldn't want him balancing my checkbook, much less running the. He's not that. Maybe he's a great teacher. I don't know. He got Teacher of the Year, but not very radical left.
Yeah.
But
you were when your time in the Senate, y'all were still fighting a lot of the social cultural issues.
Oh yeah.
Now, I mean, y'all banned abortion and
blocked
or protected medical
Roe v.
freedoms
Wade
and CRT and DEI. Y'all handled a lot of that.
Did, but no DEI not. So DEI. That's interesting you mentioned that. So DEI. There's probably a dozen senators during my last 4 years, whenever DEI became an issue, that ran legislation to stop DEI and CRT, and the chairman of education killed those efforts every time.
I thought y'all got that done. Oh, okay.
No, so it killed those efforts every time. And then the governor did an executive order which has no force of law whatsoever, which him as attorneys and legislative attorneys admit. I mean, it had no force of law. That's why OU never stopped doing it. In fact, I don't think they've stopped even today. But so the chairman killed all those so that he could wait and run it when he's running for statewide office. So you condemn all those children, all those faculty members to the discrimination of DEI, which is what it is, for years. So you can save it. That's the kind of corruption that we have. It's not necessarily financial corruption. It's spiritual corruption. I mean, why would you want to condemn thousands of kids
just for political gain?
Just for political, just for minimal political gain.
I don't want to be the one to do it.
Correct. Yeah, and it's minimal. It's like I always say what power goes to people's head for a pittance.
Right.
I mean, why would
that goes back to you talked about the people? They're all alphas. They're all A players.
Yeah, type A's.
Ego can get in the way.
That too. That's a problem.
They want to be the one to score the touchdown.
I think this was more about running for office. I think this is more about aspirations.
I need this on my resume.
Yeah, you always have those battles about who gets the credit, I guess you might say. I never really had those, but you do have them. In fact, I never forget giving up a Pledge of Allegiance. I let somebody else be a primary author when I did all the work because he was having trouble in his reelect. So I thought this would help. It didn't help. He got beat anyway. But anyway.
You let him run that bill. So
I let him put I switched the name to him being primary after I already passed it all the way. I mean, I even passed off the floor of Senate. Anyway, neither here nor there. But that's different. So you see those battles, but at the end of the day, something is passed. Typically in those battles. We had it with CRT. We had a battle of authors, because I'll just tell you, Senator Jett worked harder on that issue than anybody else. But I'm thankful that Bullard was allowed to get it past the finish line because we needed to do it. Right. So there was that battle, but something eventually. But in the case of DEI, it was just stopped completely until time that the election for statewide office came up 3 years later.
We're going to run.
Yeah. And so the hell with all those kids.
We're going to run it now.
The hell with all those kids don't know how important it is that I be in my office. So
I think one thing that would be good we talk about small town versus the bigger cities where you're seeing more of it. And I don't think people realize, and I'm learning this more, the big public school districts in Oklahoma, like Tulsa Public Schools, correct me if I'm wrong, they have quotas and things like that, right? And certain financial incentives for DI programs, right?
Oh, they get grants.
audit reveal that they're giving tons of money to. I mean, basically, they're funneling money to these programs. Right?
And I think the Biden administration grew this massively in a short amount of time.
To do it, right?
Yeah, so they get grants and all this incentives, right?
It's not just them making a cultural or their beliefs too. There's financial gain.
Well, I'll just tell you, we passed a bill that I debated passionately against and voted against that actually created the DEI contracting division in Oklahoma, where you can't, unless you're Native American.
That was department,
Are you Native American at all?
No, sir.
So you would not be allowed to participate.
Yeah.
Or my son. I mean, I don't care about me. I'm not going to work for the government. But
well, that's been going on too.
That was passed just like 4 years ago.
Genders and preferred contracts for certain.
Well, you had that in the feds,
right?
the 8A set aside and stuff, but those are ending. Those are ending, but instead Oklahoma decided to start one.
Right.
It's so bizarre to me. But anyway.
I don't know if we have a lot of time to touch on tribal issues.
That
might get us in trouble too. But
well, no, it wasn't a tribal issue. I just mean that they did carve out Native Americans to get more votes. So they said, okay, they said no, nobody but these races, and then they added Native Americans to get some more votes.
Sure. Yeah.
So we're 3 votes short, and they're all Indians. We'll add them in there. It's so stupid. But no, it's not a jab at Native. I don't blame Native Americans if they take advantage of that. I blame the government for doing something stupid.
Right. 100%. Well, before we move on your as far as your tenure in the Senate, anything else you want to touch on that?
No, I mean, I'm very honored to have served. It's I'm very, very much for term limits. I think you get rid of some good folks probably, but 12 years is a long time.
Sure.
I think the good thing to term limits is that people that are ready to go, and that need to go.
And you didn't want to run after that for anything? You didn't have a statewide?
Nothing's on my heart right now. I mean, I had a number of people ask me about various different offices, but nothing's on my heart right now. If God puts it on my heart, win or lose, I'll be there. But right now, I'm busy.
I was going to touch on that too. Before you got out of Senate, you started getting your law degree.
Correct. Yes, right. I started in 2019 at Syracuse College of Law, which is Joe Biden's alma mater. And so it's so very proud of that. So I went there and got my law degree and my law license. And I will say this, I've taken a lot of tests in my life. I mean, a lot with all my health care and all the different things I've done a lot. The bar is the most difficult test I've ever taken. It is very hard. That. It's very difficult. It should be very, very difficult. And the LSAT should be difficult. These we need top-notch people in those positions. But
what made you want to get a law degree?
Yeah, I almost did it about 20 years ago.
Because you were in office?
No, it wasn't related to that. I mean, I did have something happen. I've had a couple of things that pushed me to do that. One is, so I set up all these different companies, Cody. I mean, I think I want my kids to have something to do.
Sure.
And I set them all up, but they don't seem to want to. So I thought, well, I'll set up one more. So that's part of it. And so, because I am in the process now of probably setting up a law office and practice. But I also... in my desert, my big desert with my companies, because it wasn't just my distribution company that was at risk. It was everything. For some reason, God decided to have everything, all the swords pointed at me in one time, because that's probably what it takes to slow me down. But during that time, I had to hire. I was getting sued by several directions, and felt like I was accomplishing what I needed to do, but I had an attorney. His name is Phil Freeze. He's an absolutely brilliant attorney, and so everything was getting close to a head. I had millions of dollars worth of products and different things that I had to get rid of, and I was trying to do that. So the enemy, my former partners, they came over here kind of like almost felt like it was in the middle of the night. It was like, and so I knew that they were negotiating with this Dutch company. I knew what they were doing. They just didn't know I knew. And so they knew they had to get rid of me to make this deal work with this company. And so they showed up here kind of in the middle of the night. So I told Phil Free my feelings about it. And so he handled, this was the termination deal, was in May of 2019. And so, so two things happened during that. One is, well, they tried to make me give all my product back that I paid for free. I was like, that was part of their termination agreement.
We'll
take that back for nothing. I'm like, don't think that's how life works. But anyway, whatever. So they didn't realize I'd already sold it all. But anyway, yeah, what they don't know won't hurt them, but it did. But anyway, but Phil was just brilliant in this termination agreement. He didn't give in. He didn't like cut down all their demands, but he did some legal work in there. So the most smartest thing he did is he put the venue in there. I didn't realize how important venue was until this incident. So he put the venue as Oklahoma. All my other venues and all my other agreements with them and other things we had was all in Zurich in Switzerland, which costs a fortune because I've done a lot of legal work there or hired a lot of legal work, and it's very, very costly. So what he did was he brilliantly put this in. They were such in a hurry to get this done, and the fact that we did cave into a couple things made them sign it. And so they signed it. We sued almost immediately.
Because you had protections under Oklahoma law or whatever?
No. Cost them a fortune. They got to come over here, hire attorneys, and fight some of the best attorneys in Oklahoma. And so they didn't have any stomach for that, just like I don't have a stomach to go to Zurich and fight. Right. So we sued them. Within a month, we had sued them. And that lawsuit, I would have won. But in order to win it, I would have had to take it to Switzerland. So we set the court here, but then there was a way that in order for me to win the money, I was going to have to go, which if I was an attorney at the time, I would have done it because I could have done it for $2,500. Right. But they wanted like $150,000 or $200,000. So this got
the wheels turning about law?
Yeah, that and the fact that my kids. So it was that kind of drove me. So I got that, very proud to have gotten that, and I've used it a little, but I need to use it more.
Yeah. But so you're not necessarily in practice yet?
I've done a couple little. Yeah, I graduated in 23, got licensed in 20. I guess 20. Well, maybe I licensed in 23. Yeah.
So you go to law school, take the LSAT, go to law school, but you're not a licensed practicing attorney until you take the bar exam.
That's correct.
In the state that you want to practice in, right?
Correct. Yes, and and now we have a universal one that's good in about 47, I think, states. So then you just have to take. That's all you have to take. But I kind of got in law school similar to pharmacy school. So in pharmacy school, I'd gotten tired and bored of going to school at OU at Norman campus. So with 2 weeks left in a deadline, I applied and somehow miraculously got into pharmacy school, which is unheard of. But same way with law school. I just kind of took the LSAT on a whim.
Really?
Yeah, I just kind of took it on a whim, thinking, I've been thinking about law school, and I'll just go take the LSAT. And so I studied a little bit, but not much. And so I went and took it, and I started getting these letters. And I thought, you know what? I'll just go ahead and go. And so I actually applied during the deadline. Actually, I think they extended the deadline just a little bit for me. But in June, I applied and I got in for that August. And so it's So it's. So
are you the type of guy? Are you a very analytical guy and just always kind of reading and learning and wanting to take on a new challenge? And
always.
You just took the LSAT.
Always. Yeah.
Which part of your motivation was the business side and all that too, but
not business on that one. I just kind of So I just kind of took it on a whim, and of course it's not the first time I ever thought of law school, but I've gone back to school and not finished. Just to be fair to those out there that don't finish, I went back to engineering school one time years ago and only went to a semester or two, and actually started my college career in my senior year in high school and pretty much flunked out of that. So to all those that try and fail,
it's okay.
I want to just mention here my successes for you, Cody. So let's be clear. But all of us that try hard, I think, are going to be able to point to failures. And some of my biggest failures have been starting businesses maybe with the wrong people. Right. But sometimes those pay off anyway. I mean, like financially, if I look back financially, those deals haven't really been that bad for me. But part of me wish I hadn't done. I don't like doing business with people I don't end up not liking. Sure. But anyway.
Yeah, so it's one of those deals. Don't be in business with your family or your friends, but those are the ones you trust.
Right, correct.
So how do you?
That's right. Yeah. Well, family, I've learned that. I think they mean anybody but immediate family.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, so it's.
What's your long-term plans for law right now? Is it going to be a general practice, a family practice type deal?
I think I might get into like political related, always for the little guy. I think I want to do something I'm enjoying. I'm looking for a job. Yeah. So whatever I do, it's going to be for the underdog, I would assume.
Like policies, and
like policies, or parents that want to battle the system, or legislators that want to battle the system or whatever. It's
and you can reference your time and you understand the system.
I think I understand the system well enough, good and bad, and so I think I would have a leg up on that. I've been involved in legal challenges in the political world many times, and so I'm familiar. I mean, I've had bills of my own, upheld, not upheld, and so I'm familiar with that. But yeah, I think I could help people. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
So touch on your books that you've written.
Yeah. So I think we mentioned this, maybe it was off air earlier, but when I started law school, so I read vociferously. I mean, I read all the time, many books. Usually I would be reading a biography, and then I'd be reading an adventure story. I love sci-fi and fantasy, so I'd be reading that, and then a faith-based book or something, And so when I went to law school, I made a commitment that I knew in order to finish this, I knew enough. My sister-in-law is an attorney, and she went to UVA, so I knew enough to know it's very difficult.
You have required reading.
Yeah, and you have to be, unlike normal college, you have to be prepared ahead of time. You can't wait till afterwards and study in law school. You have to. So I gave up reading completely, except for the books they had me read, and I had to, and so I did that. And so when I finished law school, I said, well, I've already given that up. Instead of going back to reading, I'm going to start writing, which I've always wanted to do. So I've written and published my first book. Yeah. So I'll show that on the camera. Is that all right? Yeah. So 2084, which is Trump and the Bill of Freedoms. Okay. It's a really good dystopian, speculative fiction, if you will. It's I think it's very good. My friends and others that have read it have really liked it. It's got great reviews on Amazon. And I finished my second book, which is called The Meth Cartel, which is about the drugs we as a society give our kids. You've heard RFK start talking about this. I've been talking about it since I've been in pharmacy for 30 plus years. I think we way over medicate our kids, and I think parents do it for the most part with the best of intentions.
Well, we trust our doctors in the system.
Trust doctors, you trust the counselors at school, you trust your friends at church, you trust your pastor, you trust your family. Everybody's telling you your kid needs this drug. And so we give our kids these drugs, again, with the best of intentions. It's an analogy, which the book is a fictional book, but it's essentially, it's a courtroom battle book. It's really, I think the people I've had read it that read 2084 like it even better. That's why I'm kind of being patient on a publisher on that one.
It's not available yet for people?
No, not yet. Not yet. I've put a couple, I don't even think I've put teasers out. No, I haven't put teasers out on it yet, really.
Sounds
yet.
like it'd be an interesting one.
It's a very good book. It has a lazy, lucky lawyer in it. It's the lawyer character, I think, is a really good lawyer. Colin Lewis is his name. But the analogy that I wish, and that I use on these drugs, the meth drugs, if you will, is kind of like, I don't even know if I make it in the book necessarily, but so imagine if your child has trouble going to sleep. And so you go to the doctor, and the doctor says, okay, well, here's a bottle of Everclear. Just give them a shot of Everclear every night before they go to bed, about 30 minutes before, and that'll knock them out. They'll go to sleep every night. And so you think about that, and you think, okay, well, you trust your doctor. Maybe your counselor at school says the same thing. They're too sleepy during the day. They need to get a better night's rest. And so you feel all these pressures. Fine, I'll do it. So you do it, and they start at 5 years old. They get to 15. Do you think there's a possibility when they reach adulthood they might have a propensity to be an alcoholic?
Yeah,
just maybe.
Taking it and using it.
Just maybe. So what we do, I think, unknowingly to parents for sure, maybe even some doctors, is we're giving these kids a drug that's many, many times more addictive than alcohol ever thought of being.
Ambien or something, yeah.
No, it's not. It's the Ritalin drugs. Those are all methamphetamine. You've heard about that is methamphetamine. That is essentially meth in a prescription form. So we're giving kids a drug that's many, many times more addictive than alcohol or any other drug ever thought about being. But we're doing it in ignorance. I mean, most parents have no idea.
Because we trust the system.
That's correct. And I think a lot of doctors don't realize, because the literature really doesn't go into it, but it is methamphetamine. It's the same drug. Chemically, it's pretty much the same drug. But anyway, that's the second book. I'm working on a third and fourth book at the same time, which is probably a mistake. But I am, and I didn't mention, I did have I got my
your liberal tears.
Leftist tears.
Leftist tears.
Yeah, but I do have a letter from Trump. I did send him a copy. He loves this book.
Oh, he read it.
Yeah,
nice.
Yeah. Well, I assume he did.
Yeah.
The letter says he did.
That's right.
I assume he did.
That's cool.
And I did. I got you a copy of the book, and I
appreciate that.
I did want to mention on the politics one, although we might mention some. I want to mention that, but yeah. So the writing happened. I used to write years ago. I write a lot of professional stuff, and I've written articles and different things like that, mainly in professional journals, and even some that are more narrative in the more local pharmacy stuff. But this is my first stab at really writing like fiction. And this is a big book. This took me several years to write this 2084. So it's a big book. I started writing it actually before I finished law school. And so it's a big book.
Long form fiction, yeah.
Yeah, and it's a little bit long, but it's not too long. And I like to think of it's not. I don't want to compare it to Lord of the Rings, but I mean it's an adventurous tale of a ragtag group of rebels, if you will.
Nice.
And so it's really it's what you would do. Like we're facing loss of freedoms on certain days, and we're facing. Imagine if we were in a world where we lost it all.
Right there.
And how would you get it back? That's what the book covers. The book covers kind of getting there in a way quickly. So we don't want to spend too much time putting ourselves in a freedomless prison, so to speak. But the book goes into how would we get back? How would we get our country back if it's already gone? And so our founders did it.
Right.
Our founders did it. So it can be done.
Yeah.
But can it be done in a world we're in today? It's not quite the world of
a lot more digital
1776. Yeah. It's not the same world. It's not the same weapons. It's not the same world at all. So it's interesting in a sense that I try to combine my legal knowledge and political knowledge into, so the book goes more into other things than I think a normal dystopian tale would. So
I'm looking forward to reading that.
Well, if you get time, but it's not all of us. Like I said, I kind of gave up reading, so I don't want to be a hypocrite. But if you got time, it's a good read.
Do you plan on just keep writing books?
Yeah, I want to
wake up in the middle of the night.
And I've always been working kind of on a biography on the side, so I'll probably continue working on that too. Yeah. And so, but I kind of enjoy writing, but it kind of comes and goes because it is very, very time consuming. So my best work, as it was when I was programming for years, is between the hours of 10 and 6, 10 p.m. and 6 a.m.
Right.
So when everything's quiet. So it's hard. I'm getting a little older, so it's hard to.
You don't have the energy and stamina you used to?
Well, I can stay up late and work on it, but now I'm more tired the next day. Right. So a few hours of sleep. I need more hours of sleep now than I did 20 years ago, maybe. So
yeah. But. So what, like going through your businesses and your public service and going back to school, what would you your advice for a 27-year-old that maybe has an opportunity to start his own business and talk about having the guts to do it and relationships? And
so I would say this, that it's hard to replace hard work. So hard work can get you past most things, not everything. Mm-hmm. Washing machines work hard, as some famous entrepreneurs might say. Yeah. So you got to make sure that hard work is pointed the right way. But I'll tell you this right now, the fastest way to failure in business is not staying in tune and not working hard. And as you get more established in business, it's you can pull away a little bit, but you still have to stay engaged. But I would say, some people say find out what you enjoy. I'd say better than that, find out what you're good at. Mm-hmm. Find out what you're good at. Find out where you can build those relationships. You do
leverage the relationships.
Yeah, so you do machinery, right? So in your neck of the woods, that's a relational business, I would assume. So you develop relations. You find out what they need. Mm-hmm. Find out what people need. I mean, if you're doing something like you're doing, or a restaurant's tough though. I've done a little food service. Oof, it's tough. But if you're going to do something, find out what people need, what they want. But try to make sure you develop those relationships and find those mentors. I noticed in your suggested things, I've had a number of mentors over the years. Find those mentors and don't ever think you're known enough or you're smart enough where you don't need a mentor anymore, because you may be jumping in a new thing.
Maybe you'll learn something without having to make that same mistake.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. And why not learn from somebody else's dumb moves and don't make them again? And you may listen to their dumb move like I've done and still do it, but at least you'll know that it was a dumb move for them. But
so how did you have the wisdom to know that? Because you didn't come from a family of entrepreneurs and business owners, right?
Not at all. In fact, my dad.
Did your mentors become kind of that shoulder?
Yes, I've had several mentors that have encouraged me and along the way, and that I've sought advice from and counsel from always. And but my dad did try business, but just wasn't successful, mainly because of the family thing. He involved family, not immediate family. He just involved family that didn't do, that made his business
made
fail.
Some mistakes in family.
Yeah, made his businesses fail.
I see a lot of people that have good ideas. I know they'd work hard. They'd be good managers. They have a good job already.
Right, correct.
They don't want to take the risk. Got a good paying job, benefits,
and risks
safety net.
And risks are relative. So so when I'm 20 years old, taking a risk is not really usually that risky.
Time to make up.
Yeah, I got time to make up. I mean, you got 3 kids you're trying to support, and everybody's used to you make $100,000. Do you want? So I would still do it. You know why? Because for me, there's 80 hours in every week, not 40.
Right.
So if you can look at life,
you've always had that mentality.
Always. So if you can look at life saying, there's more hours than just the 40. So I can go to work at Eckerd and I can run my other businesses, or when I had the pharmacy, I can help run it during the day and program all night. I mean, I'm not telling people to do that. Right. I'm just saying that if you want to take the risk, you can take it. I'd rather you take it when it's less risky. Yeah. I mean, I don't jeopardize your work. So I would never give somebody that advice. But, you can always find time to do something, even if it's not a money-making venture. Maybe you're just a struggling artist. Maybe you like to write or something. Go do it. I mean, even if it's not a big bundle of money at the end. I don't know as if I've ever done that much. I'm usually always just looking for success, not necessarily money. Money just naturally follows when you're successful, yeah.
How'd you balance, like, your family with kids and the wife? She was part of the business. Or still is, right?
For sure, yeah.
How do you balance family life with business and politics? And
it's difficult because I will not miss a dance recital. I will not.
How do you do that with 5 or 6 businesses or whatever you have?
It's very difficult. I will not miss. I've never missed a dance recital.
Really?
I've never missed a play. My daughter was in center theater. She was in dance. My middle one's in tennis. I will not miss a tennis tournament, and I put her in as many as I can get her in because I schedule them, these independent tournaments. My son, I coach most of his. If I knew how to play tennis that well, I'd try to coach her on tennis. She's done tennis and soccer, 2 sports that I'm really not that good. But my son, I've coached him in basketball.
You made them all.
Yeah, oh yeah. I don't know as if I've ever, Lisa may find an example maybe, but I mean, I usually coach, so I'm coaching baseball and basketball. I think maybe I did miss one baseball. See, I missed maybe one.
You must have good management skills because your business is run without you having to be hands-on all the time, 24/7.
I think, I don't know. I wouldn't give myself that much credit. Yeah. I think I just
you just made a priority of the family.
I just said, I'm not gonna miss any. I've got a basketball game tonight. I'm coaching for Harrison, and we have a meeting to go to ahead of then, and I will leave that meeting early so I don't miss that. So I'm able to do both, and I absolutely love those things with kids. I would if it was a choice between taking the risk and doing next venture and missing games because I have been, given those opportunities, I would stick with the not missing.
Take care of the kids first.
Yeah, I didn't start off by saying this, but I will say this, that I have I brought the Mere Christianity book, which you have, and that it's not in C.S.'s writings, but my belief about life in general. So our whole discussion here is we want to wind down and find out for your viewers and listeners what the meaning of life is, right? That's the whole goal here.
Yeah.
We want to do this. So the final answer is, if they paid attention this long, they'll be happy because now they get to know the answer.
Yeah.
What is the meaning of life, right? And it's not a Monty Python skit. It's actually, do you know what Monty Python is?
Oh,
really?
That.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
A little bit. Yeah,
a little bit. Okay. Well, anyway, they made a movie meaning of life. But anyway, in my mind is simple, even though I'm busy and doing all these analytical things or whatever, my thought pattern is very simple, whether it's programming or writing and life. I think life is simply, Cody, a test. It is a test. That's it. It's an LSAT. It's a bar test. It's a simple test. It's a pass-fail. It's very, very easy. I mean, why? I mean, I just can't imagine. It's like Albert Einstein said, God doesn't roll dice. I mean, we're not here for no reason.
It's intentional.
Surely not. If we think that, then okay, that's fine. If you want to think that there's really no reason for you to be here, then, live your life that way. That's fine with me. I believe we're here for a purpose.
Yeah.
I believe we're here because those that follow us are depending on us to do something for them, whether it's in office or making their life good or whatever it is. It's different for every person. But that test is something we're here for. And every time you make a decision in life, that's another question on that test.
Good point.
Yeah, it's very simple. And
it's hard to be depressed or out of shape or unhappy if you're constantly working for that next test.
It's very simple. Every as days go on, you're going to miss some questions. You're absolutely going to miss some. We're fallen, we're broken, so you're going to miss some. Maybe I couldn't make a kid's game or whatever. Such is life. You're so busy, but you're feeding them. You're providing food for them. So that's a value. So. Yeah, I think people have sometimes, especially people that get caught up in maybe religion a lot. Mm-hmm. They get complex in their solution. Like, I have to do this, or I've got to do this, or I got to travel to here. Mm-hmm. I think it's just much simpler than that. That's just my point of view.
So you talked about earlier that you haven't always, your faith you've constantly worked on that, or how's that play into your life, and how's
for
that
sure.
changed?
Yeah, I mean, it's church attendance not always that good.
Sure.
Yeah, but church is in your heart and in your home too. So we could do better there for sure. Volunteered some, not others, but I do believe that you can drift further away if you don't stay in church. And so I think I'll reprimand myself. Yeah, you need to be intentional, right? Yeah, and
it's easy. Sunday's the day of rest.
That's
it's
correct.
Easy to stay home.
That is
when
correct.
You've had a busy week.
Yeah, and I think if you do that, spend time resting with your family, that's okay. Pull the Bible out, maybe pull up Chosen, maybe episode 3, which is my favorite about the kids.
That's a good way to actually see it.
Yeah, right. Or pull up a lot of churches, they stream them over the internet. We do that sometimes. And so, but you're right. Intentional. Whatever you're doing.
Be intentional about it.
Intentional about it. I try my best not to work too much on Sunday, but I struggle with that. But
that's the catch-up day, the lawn day.
Yeah, lawn day, yeah. Which is that really work? Maybe not.
Well, what about any quotes? I mean, do you have Bible verse or a mentor's quote or something that you I've always been a motivator?
Yeah, I think Lincoln is my favorite president by far. I've read tons of stuff on him, books, biographies, criticisms, praises, all those things. But he said this one quote he said kind of fits me, I think. It says, he said to go from failure to failure with enthusiasm. And I think that describes my life to some extent, and I think it describes people that are successful, because when you look back in the history that they would share if they shared everything, is you'll find failures, whether it's in your personal life or your business life or whatever, because we're all imperfect.
That's so true. I heard that somebody said, if you can learn to be happy during the hard times, it change your way of thinking about your life, and that's really hard. Yeah,
I've had some severe deserts.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, oh my gosh. I mean, you wouldn't. Yeah, maybe you've had them too. So I don't want to one up anybody on deserts, but oh my gosh.
Any other words of advice? I mean, anything that you wanted to say about business or politics or?
Well, I would just say that if you're waiting to do what your heart tells you to do, you're waiting for the wrong reason. Because if it's did I tell you about the vote? You know about the gentleman that apologized for.
Right.
Flip-flop. I mean, if you know what your heart's telling you to do, follow your heart. I mean, God puts it on your heart for a reason. Yeah. And so if you're being compelled to do something, you can stop and delay. I mean, don't jump off of a bridge immediately. Right. But a lot of times it's there for a reason. And be
bold.
And we all seek relationships in this life, and especially when God puts it, especially young people out there, God puts it on your heart to reach out and form a bond with somebody. That's really the basis of humanity. And so a lot of times people in this day and time, because we're so busy and we have all the social and everything that pulls people apart from each other, I think we got to get back to humanity. We have to get back to human stuff.
Give grace.
As I was building my businesses, you had to. I mean, many places I traveled, there was no internet. Right. You had to God forbid, call them on the phone, unless you could really operate text using just a number pad. Good luck with that. But
I've been trying to learn that. Give grace. I mean,
give grace.
It's a waste of time to flip off a guy going down the highway because he cut you off. Give him a little grace.
Or you may have a 357 under the seat too.
Yeah, so. Give the elected officials a little grace.
Yeah,
give
for
the
sure.
Preacher some grace.
Oh, absolutely.
They make mistakes.
You're right. Yeah, for sure. I think grace is under given present these days, for sure. I would say, especially in politics. Yeah. Since I'm out, I'll complain a little bit. I do think sometimes, even I find myself maybe not giving enough grace, but I've been there and I've seen the bad side, so maybe I'm a little jaded.
Sure.
But
you can hold them accountable, but not beyond a reasonable.
Right. And then if you really think they're doing a bad job, how about beat them? If you don't run against them, get behind somebody that is, and don't be afraid. I don't like bashing. I think, because you could be wrong. So when people bash other people, like legislators or whoever they may be, pastors, I think bashing is really become too commonplace these days, especially on social media.
It's easy on keyboard warriors.
Yeah, and so it's like when I
beat them with a better
I post a lot of stuff, and I try to be honest. And if I doubt what I'm putting in is true, I'll ask people, "Do you believe this? Is this true?" Right. And so I think I always wonder, am I wrong? What if you bash the crap out of somebody and then you're wrong?
Would you be willing to change though?
Yes, most people know. Most people know. And most people bash the crud out, especially if it's Trump or somebody like that, somebody they feel like, they're far enough away from.
We hold Trump's. I can be that way too because I'm a massive Trump supporter.
Oh, me too. I think
there's something attractive about a person who can admit when they're wrong.
Yeah.
I build so much more trust when, you know what? I was probably wrong on that.
Well, yeah. Politicians,
that's hard to do, though.
Politicians rarely do that.
It's hard to do that in our marriage with our kids.
Yeah.
Admit we were wrong.
Well, especially when we're right most of the time.
Yeah.
So
it's hard, though.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah. You're right. It's hard. And I don't. I really the climate we have today has got to change.
Yeah,
and it's I
we
think
saw it with Charlie Kirk. I mean,
if
it's not, it's going too extreme.
Well, look at OU. I mean, OU you've probably seen the posts online and stuff. It's ridiculous.
They had to cancel events.
It's ridiculous. And the university, a university that went absolutely nuts over January 6th and George Floyd. The killing of a thug, a criminal, which maybe it was a killing that shouldn't happen. I would admit to that, but. It's not even anywhere close to a kid getting assassinated on a university campus, and the university is silent. I mean, crickets speak loudly, and so it's. But anyway, I appreciate you having me on, and
what do y'all before we end up? What do y'all do for fun?
Oh, for fun? Well, we love to travel. I have an RV, and so
nice.
I used to. This is going to surprise you probably. I got the RV in 20. After my son was born, we had a little camper. My son was born in 2013, so I bought an RV.
Yeah.
Because my Lisa and my kids said, okay, if we had an RV that we could drive, I think we would go more often. I said, well, if I buy this thing, we're going to go at least 2 weeks a year.
Yeah.
I went every summer until my kids now are getting older. They got so much stuff going on. But for up until last year, we were gone a month every year, at least a month. One year I was gone a month and a half.
So you work hard, play hard.
Yeah, but
you make time to play.
Yeah, one of the things good about some of the ventures I have.
You can do those mobile.
I can do a lot. I can write.
You can write code.
I can write code. I can log in. I can do those things. And so, I will share real quick about the month and a half. This is crazy. So we're RVing. We have a trip all planned to California. I promised my family that I would go see my uncle. He was not well. He was dying. I wanted my kids to meet my uncle. I love my Uncle John. He was so funny. He was such a great guy. And so I thought, okay. So I told everybody we're coming to California. But a few years before, I had told my business partner, who I at that time had a great relationship with in Germany, that if he's ever in Orlando, I'm the king of Disney World. I know all the tricks. We go there at least 2 or 3 times a year or actually even even when we shouldn't go, we go. So I told him, if you ever go. And then so he calls me like right before we leave and said, "Oh, we're going to be in Orlando. You think you could meet us there in 1st of August?" I go, "Let me check." So we went to California and went to Disneyland and all the stuff out there and Yosemite and all the great things, San Francisco, all the great things out there. And then we go all the way on I-10 across the country to Disney World to spend a week with my business partner from Germany to show him the ropes at Disney World. And so
you're a professional RVer.
Yeah, we are RVers. Yeah,
you must have a strong family and marriage being an RV together.
That is correct. Yeah, Lisa was skeptical in the beginning, that's for sure. But she actually really loved it. Awesome. The kids absolutely love it. They absolutely do. And you can, for families out there that are thinking about that, you can get those things pretty reasonable. You just got to find the right time of the year and the right person that bought it and never used it.
That's right. Yeah, through COVID.
Renting's kind of high. My brother-in-law rented one. They were more expensive than I thought. My brother-in-law went with us 1 year on a short trip. Yeah, but
well, what's y'all's favorite place to eat?
Hal Smith's a friend of mine, so we're gonna have to plug Charleston's. But I think somebody else you had on your show said Charleston's. But Hal's been a dear friend for many years, and although he sold his restaurant, I'm sure he still
one to go to, especially up here in the metro area.
Yeah, I mean Charleston's is great. There's a lot of good places, a lot of good local places around here. But
if you're up here, Charleston's a go-to.
Yeah, it's a good place. Good place.
Well, how can everyone reach you? Find your books? Do you have?
Yeah, you can go to robstandridge.com.
Okay.
You can find stuff out there about books. You can go to my Facebook page. I'm not really as active as I should be on the other social medias. I need to do that, but you can. I think it's just Facebook/Rob Standridge, I think,
Okay.
or you can go to my robstandridge.com and go there. Follow me, like me, comment below, or whatever they say. Click the bell, make it ring, whatever they say.
Can they buy the book through your website?
It's available through Amazon. I think there's
okay.
a link to buy it on my site, but no, you can't buy it directly. I have a deal with Amazon, so you have to buy it through Amazon right now.
Easy enough, yeah.
Yeah, and you can buy. This is a hardback, but you can buy it in paperback. I think it's a little bit less, or the digital.
Sure, yeah, a lot of people are going.
Yeah, I prefer the
digital.
paper. I prefer the paper, but yeah, and I will start putting some teasers out for the meth cartel we talked about earlier.
Good.
So I want to do that. Although I probably may not publish that till mid-year. Looks like mid-year next year might be the timing on that. So I'll probably put it through one more edit with a professional editor. It's a little bit long. For a legal thriller, it's about 120,000 words, but I may pull back. I haven't found myself what to take out yet, but might go through another editing process.
But people if they follow you, they'll see the updates and stuff.
I might put some teasers on that out there, and they can follow my crazy posts about the less weirdness. So.
Yep. If they want some political comedy, they can follow you for some of those memes you posted.
That's right. That's right.
Well, good. Well, I appreciate it, Rob. It's been a great talk.
Yeah, enjoyed it. Yeah, very much. Yeah. Thanks for doing it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.